Morning coffee talk. In my last video, I said, how can I be breaking out when I'm nearly 30? I meant nearly 40. Nearly 40. 2 more years. And I will be the big 40. Anyways, it's funny that my mouth said 30. Yeah, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. Anyways, irregardless, I want to talk to you about the 5 love languages. Have you read this book? Oh my gosh. It's by Gary Chapman. If you don't feel like reading the book, they have the book on audio. It is amazing. It's phenomenal. It really helps people to understand how they can communicate their love to somebody else and have that other person really feel that love. I know that in our own household, we all speak a different love language. And just learning about the 5 love languages has really changed the way that we've communicated some of that love to one another. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about what that means for my kids. So the 5 love languages are as follows. Number 1, words of affirmation. So if you're a words of affirmation person, that means you like to receive verbal compliments. You like to hear when someone appreciates you. So this is like all of verbal communication that someone else is giving to you. Each time that they do verbalize what you mean to them, it's just solidifying to you that they love you, and it's what he calls filling your love tank. So the more that someone verbally communicates to you that they appreciate you, the more you feel loved. So that is my love language for sure. Whenever someone verbalizes to me what I mean to them, or if they say thank you for something that I did, that's when I feel most loved. Quality time is the second love language. That is spending time with someone, fully focused on them. That means no phones, no TVs, no distractions. You're like taking a walk with this person, or you go out to eat with them, you're talking. It's really just giving them your undivided attention. This is Tristan, our oldest son. He is a quality time kid. I've noticed that when we are lacking in that department, he starts to get into a little bit of a funk. I'll notice he starts to have like an attitude problem. He was not like willing to do stuff around the house, or he just gets kind of like cranky. And every time I see that he's starting to get into this like funky place, I will set aside time for just he and I to be together without Aiden, the youngest. And we'll just do stuff. And we just hang out, and it's like immediately after that happens, I see a change in him, and he's just happier. So I've even like had him take personal days at school just so he could spend the day with me at work. I totally believe that people should take personal days. It's something that I discovered a couple of years ago. I never ever thought it was important. I never did it. And then as soon as I started to, I was like, wow, this is amazing. It's so important. And you are important enough that if you need a mental health day, if you need rest, just take it. You know, what's the big deal if you miss a day of work? Third love language is receiving gifts. So if this is someone's love language, it's just getting them something that they can physically hold in their hand, and it's something that you saw and you thought of this person. It doesn't matter if it costs money or if it doesn't cost money, but it's like something physical that they can touch, that when you saw it, you thought of that person. And so every time that you're giving them a gift, their love tank is being filled. Fourth love language is acts of service. It's the stuff you can do around the house. It takes planning, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy. You have to do it from a loving and positive place. It's like every time you do all that stuff for the other person, they're like, wow, this person really loves me. They did the dishes. They set the table. And they did it without me asking. That's amazing. The last one is physical touch. That is like, before you leave the house, you make sure you hug and you kiss that person. When you come home, you hug and kiss that person. If you're sitting on the couch, you sit next to them, you hold their hands. It's not always about sex. It's about like walking into a room and you can just brush your fingers on that person's shoulder, whatever. But my youngest son, Aiden, that's his love language. He is a snuggler. He always wants to snuggle. I try not to get annoyed because that's not my love language and I don't always want to be touched. So I'm like, ugh, why is this kid like crawling on me? But that is his love language. That's what he needs to feel loved. So when he's coming to me and he wants to snuggle, I try my best to give him that. And that's like all this kid needs to have his love tank filled. I mean, if he's sad, all I have to do is give him a hug and a kiss, and it's like he feels better. So I believe that there's a quiz that you can do online to figure out what your love language is. And you can kind of think about the most important people in your life. Usually the love language that people exhibit is their predominant love language. So if I'm constantly doing stuff around the house for other people, my love language is probably acts of service. And you can have more than one. You can have like a dominant one and then a secondary one. Like my dominant one is words of affirmation, and then my secondary one would be acts of service. So, because I don't really care about receiving gifts, and I like physical touch, but it's not something that I need to feel loved. And quality time's important, but it's not the main one.